everybody and welcome to another monthly bullet journal plan with me video. It's already time to set up our journals for April, but before that let's do a quick flip through of the March layout. As you can see, March was super simple, fresh and minimal on my journal, but I'll let you know that I did a complete 180 from my April design. So without further ado, let's flip to our next empty page and start planning for April. So I'm starting by writing April on my cover page, and I decided to change it up from my usual cursive font and do this type of old-fashioned typewriter font. I don't know what to call this, but you can see what I mean. Anyway, after that and this mini calendar is done, I'll start walking you through this geometric night sky painting thing I created as my cover page decoration this time. I know you might look at this and think it's super complicated, but this was actually so easy to do. I'm pretty much a beginner with watercolors, but I could still manage to pull this off, so you can too. So yes, we are using actual watercolors this time. It's a first here on my channel, so we can really get the intensity and blend for the colors we want. Well, I'm technically using gouache paints here, which are basically really similar to watercolors. They just have a little bit more pigment in them, but you can use any watercolors to do this exact same thing. So the first thing you want to do is to make sure that your whole paper is wet. So we are using wet on wet technique here for the night sky background. And by the way, the paper I'm using here is like the cheapest amateur watercolor paper from my local bookstore. So you don't need to own any fancy paper or any fancy tools whatsoever. Whatever you have home will work. So now we will start slathering on the colors. I'm using three colors, which are black, dark green and Prussian blue, but you could use whatever color scheme you want. I personally wanted this to be quite grayish toned, and you can achieve that by adding quite a lot of black together with your blue and green. But if you want the colors to be more vibrant, then avoid using black that much because it will make everything look a little bit gray. So as you can see, I'm making few layers of paint here. The first ones will probably look quite streaky, but don't worry about that, it will all work out in the end. I'm letting the layers dry between applying them, and this will help you to build the darkness and intensity of the colors. If you just try to apply more color over a wet surface, it will just slide the colors everywhere and not really add anything on top. I'm adding more darkness to the top and also to the sides, and I'm making it almost completely black. Then if I felt like I took too much color down, I tapped some water off with a kitchen paper, and that will create these lighter areas, which I think add variation to our night sky colors. You can also add a little bit more blue on some areas, and then in some places you can make it a little bit more green to add some variation. There is no one correct way to do this, so just play with your colors and create something you're happy with. When you have the background ready, we can start adding the stars. Again, I would advise you to wait till the drawing is dry or dried with something before starting to add the stars. And a great way to add stars in this kind of painting is by first coating your brush with white paint, then dipping it into water, and then tapping this brush with another brush, so you will have these random splashes of white flying everywhere. This style makes the stars look naturally uneven, and then of course you can go back and add some final details by yourself. I found this technique from the internet and it worked really well, and it was also super fast. It would take 1 million years to draw all these dots by yourself. So after I had finished with the paints, I kind of went with my pen and tried to add some constellations to the top, but in a very unnoticeable way, so it doesn't look too weird on this painting. And yeah, that's literally it. This kind of night sky painting is a perfect way to start practicing with watercolors because the end result will look good with any color combinations, and it doesn't even matter if it looks a little bit blotchy or uneven because we are adding the stars on top that will distract us from some possible imperfections in the background. So now after completing this whole thing, I don't know what took over me and maybe want to cut this into pieces. So I measured a bit and tried to figure out a nice arrangement of shapes. And I ended up with these different sizes of triangles. But yeah, I just glued everything on my page and then I drew this one random line here as well because this area looked kind of empty for me. And yeah, that's it about the cover page. I know that was a lot of work, but I really like how it ended up looking. So anyway, now I will set up my monthly overview page. I started this page by setting a small calendar here in the upper corner, and then under this I'm leaving space to write down some important days and events I'll have on April. I'm using the same style of font again. I thought it suited well with all the darker decorations we're gonna start setting up soon on this page. I also used this double underline throughout this whole month. I'm making the first line with a thicker pen and then leaving the second one a little bit thinner. And this is just a nice little detail that goes together well with the whole font and monthly style. Then I filled the rest of this page with this bigger doodle, which will have different astronomical shapes and patterns. I wanted to do some doodles with only pens so that those of you who don't want to use watercolors still have some approachable decoration options. And there are literally countless patterns, shapes and combinations to do this kind of doodle. I'm just playing here with different things. I'm adding a lot of dots, triangles and circles around this crescent moon. Also, using any circle objects you have at home will make drawing the circles a little bit easier, so that's just a quick tip. I think this ended up looking okay, but I'm still not completely sure if I like this whole style. It's a little bit darker and not as minimal looking than I'm used to probably. But anyway, I love trying out different things and making cohesive themes, even if the style is a little bit outside of my comfort zone. So yeah, and then I made these corners and I wish I didn't color them black. I kind of preferred how they looked before that, but that's too late now and we just have to live with it. Then I'll start the next page with a quick task list. So this will kind of be my master to-do list for this month. It will act also as my focus list that I've set up quite often in my past videos. And then next to it, I'm making this section called social, which will be my Instagram and YouTube posting calendar and tracker at the same time. I'm so into expanding this bullet journal stuff outside of this YouTube channel. I already started to post more on Instagram last month, but I was actually super busy with school and didn't have as much time to focus on creating new content as I wanted. But I hope I'll have some more time this month and at least create some extra doodle tutorials and ideas for you. So in this point, this page looked super dark and gloomy almost, so I desperately wanted to add some color here. And what I ended up doing was cutting a small piece from another night sky watercolor painting I did, and then I used this as a background to write my zodiac signs. I thought this was a fun idea that really fit nicely with this whole monthly theme. I'm not so into zodiac things, but I know some of you might be, and it's still fun to figure out your own birth chart and your moon sign and rising sign and all of that stuff. There's so much going on with this whole zodiac thing. I will link down a website where you can fill your own birth chart if you're interested in doing something similar in your bullet journal. Anyway, as you can see, my sun sign is Leo, my moon sign is Aquarius, and rising sign is Cancer. So here we have the first actual spread ready. I told you this was a totally opposite from my previous month, but let's keep going, and now we are starting to enter that habit tracking world. So last month I had a self-care tracker and I really liked it, so I'm doing something similar this month as well. But this time I wanted to add my productivity activities here as well. I tried the craft method on March to measure the time I used for each activity, but it was a little bit difficult to remember exactly how much time I used for everything, so I thought this might just be easier. I wanted to do some more celestial doodles on this page as well, so I used the space in the corners for these different patterns again. If you want to create something similar, it's always easy to start from some kind of circle. So you can do a moon or sun or something like that, and then start to build all these random shapes and lines around it. After I was happy with the doodles, I finished this page with this border. I ended up making it thicker and thicker because I didn't really know what I wanted. Then again, I wanted to add some color here, but I kind of wanted to keep this monochromatic at the same time. So I used this grayish blue brush pen and also destroyed everything by coloring these lines blue. I wish I didn't do that. But yeah, kind of darker page again. We are still not on my comfort zone with this whole style, but it's okay, and let's just keep going with it. So on the next page, I'm doing something new for me, and this will be a dedicated sleep log. I cut this circle from another night sky watercolor painting and I glued it in the middle. Then I'm drawing some decorations on this as well. I'm doing another crescent moon. Apparently I really like these. And remember that you can also use white to create these shapes and decorations. I'm now using this white Uni Posca marker that many of you recommended on my February video where I asked you to recommend good white pens, and I really like this one so far. Thank you so much for everyone who took time to leave your recommendations on that video. So my slots here weren't completely identical, but at least I managed to make correct amount of them, which was already an accomplishment for me. So now every day I can mark how many hours I got sleep. I put 7 hours on the middle, which is kind of my ideal amount of sleep I want to get, and then I can use some kind of line or dots to indicate the amount each day. On the next page, I will do something similar I did some months back, and this will be an achievement page. So every time I manage to do something or I'm just happy about something in general, I will write it here. This could also be called like a positivity or gratitude list, and I just thought that this type of page might be nice for someone like me who usually focuses too much on the things I couldn't do instead of being proud and happy about the things I could actually do. So yeah, just a simple idea for all of you fellow perfectionists out there. I think this kind of page will be really positive spread to look back to. I didn't know what to add under this table, so I just left it blank, at least for now. I might add some doodle or quote down here in some point. Then we are on my first weekly spread. Oh my god, I feel like this video is already 1000 years long. So as always, this page will be quite simple for me. I kind of followed with that double line box theme on this page, and I created this super simple vertical layout for my weekdays. And each box here is 8 dots wide for those of you who are wondering. Under the daily boxes, I added my usual to-do list and then a mini calendar to visually see where we are going on April. And then I brought back my quick meal planning list here, where I'll list my lunch and dinner plans for each day. I'm currently eating home more often than in the university, so I thought this might be helpful for me. And that's all for my super simple weekly spread. I'm planning to do at least one different weekly spread this month, and that might end up being a IGTV tutorial. Who knows what might happen. But now let's finish this month's layout by setting up my final April review spread. I wanted to connect this page with the cover page style because I liked that one a lot. So I'm using the rest of that painting we did in the beginning, and I'm cutting it in these triangles again. I'm also drawing some lines here again to make this look a little bit more interesting. And that's that about this geometric starry night arrangement. So I will set my April review and then my ideas page here. Ideas for me is basically a brain dump for any random thoughts I might have on April. And then on the review page, I will first add this box for the highlights of the month. And then I'm making it super simple for myself and setting only one question to answer after April is over, which is how I feel. As simple as that. So that's everything for my April setup. I know this video was probably a little bit longer than my typical videos, so thank you so much for watching if you are still here. Setting up this month was something new and also a bit challenging for me, but I'm so happy I tried to leave my comfort zone a little bit and try all these different decoration styles I usually stay away from. Even though I didn't end up liking everything, I definitely found things I loved as well, and I'll just let you know that I will probably be watercoloring more night sky paintings from now on. I already have a beautiful quote in mind, which might even turn into a IGTV video as well, who knows. Anyway, that's all for this time. Let me know what theme you're gonna do on April in the comment section, and also leave all suggestions or questions down there as well if you have some. I always love to read your comments, they usually make my day. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to stay tuned for the other monthly Plan With Me videos in the future. But that's that. I hope all of you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and see you in my next one. Bye bye!